Welcome to Miles of Books, a book-centric show to listen to on your run from Another Mother Runner and Feisty Media. I'm host Sarah Bowen Shea, and today I'm joined by a new co-host, as this is an extra special episode. Instead of talking about novels or a nonfiction book, this episode is focused on cookbooks. My co-host, I thought about long and hard. I looked high and low, yet I ended up with the person who first came to mind because she's absolute perfection for this. It is Sheila Gencarelli, who loyal listeners might remember from a March 2024 episode of Another Mother Runner podcast about her longtime quest to qualify for Boston Marathon. So welcome, Sheila. I'm so excited to have you as my partner to talk about cookbooks.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. This is quite a honor to be on your podcast and to be able to talk about cookbooks, which I love.
You sure do. And we're going to be talking about 4 cookbooks today, and you are going to have to show some of them later because they are just littered with post-it notes. So, and in full transparency, we originally started to try to record this with you at your house. You live about 2 miles from me, and we know that because we have run to and from each other's houses when we were training in 2010 for the Portland Marathon, and we're having technical difficulties. So now you are in a bedroom on my second floor of my house. Yes, using my younger daughter's computer.
I think it's all my fault. My technical abilities are at best very rudimentary.
So anyway, I figured let's tell people, kind of how we know each other. And so, yeah, you want to give a little bit of our background?
Sure. We met when I first moved to Portland. You were doing a book signing at Lululemon for your first book, and I had just happened to pop in and come to find out we had a little bit in common, both of us from Connecticut, and we were both training for the marathon. And so we became running buddies, and over the years have continued to be friends and run together on and off. In the last several years have really been tight because of our pickleball fun together. And we actually started pickleball together because I heard you talking about it on podcast, and I was like, I'll play with you, Sarah. Anyway, it's become a lovely adventure for us. So yeah.
Exactly. And that we often you live sort of on my way to the place where we play pickleball together every Tuesday and Thursday. So for a while there, because we are both very much into carpooling and being green, I would pick you up and give you a ride over to the courts. And you and I almost all the time ended up talking about recipes and cookbooks, what we were going to make for dinner that night, what we cooked for dinner the night before, some really great recipe. So, while our friendship was definitely originally built on sports and exercise, it has really expanded with our shared conversations about food. And
yeah. And part of that was because you always go to Trader Joe's after Tuesday pickleball and would often have cookbooks in the car that you were perusing to figure out what you're going to buy.
Right.
So it often prompted conversation. And then we're also big fans of Elise Kopecky and Shalane Flanagan's cookbooks. Recently, the Rise and Run. So we did a lot of muffin exchanges because I know you two are always making muffins, and so we would treat each other and take turns, like who brought muffins.
It is, and we sort of telepathically knew that very rarely did we both bring muffins on the same day. It always just sort of worked out that one of us would have brought muffins for the other one. So
I continue to love bringing, even though we don't commute together anymore because I have something after pickleball I go to, but I love bringing treats to our group.
You sure do.
That we play with, so that's been fun.
And people are very grateful of your treats. Yeah. Yes. So all right. So I do want to just give people the heads up that we are going to, if these episodes prove successful, we will talk about cookbooks again, as I said on this episode, and then once more in November. I figure kind of as a add it to your holiday wish list if some cookbook sounds good. And then if those episodes prove popular, folks, we're going to do them quarterly next year. So, and I want to give a shout out to Tiffany in Kansas, who was the runner who suggested that we do a cookbook version of Miles of books. So thank you very much, Tiffany. Yes. All right. So before we talk about the books, though, it is time for a brief break, and we'll start our cookbook conversation when we return. Stay with us. Okay. With no further ado, let's serve up some cookbooks. The first one is Easy Every Day. I'm going to show that. 100 Recipes and Meal Prep Ideas for Effortless Eats, a cookbook by Jessica Merchant. So tell us a bit about this book, Sheila.
This was a book that I was perusing in the public library that is located between the two of us. And I just happened to be looking at it, and Sarah was texting me about the podcast. And I was like, I just found this book. It looks so good. So we added it. And the Jessica Merchant has a few other cookbooks and a blog that she's had for quite a while. And this book is really about quick prep. So each recipe has it tells you how to prep it in 10 minutes. So it's really, I haven't seen her other cookbooks, but I'm certainly going to get them
Mhm.
after this. But I love that she tries to make it simple. She's from Pittsburgh. She has 3 kids of her own. So I think she understands the need to be able to prep your meals quickly and get something on the table. And so I think that's really what she was focusing on in this book. And before I get into the book a little bit and see all my post-it notes,
When you showed it to me upstairs in the room, you were like, get out, just get out.
kept looking at her name thinking she seems so familiar, her name. And then if I finally did a little research on her, and I found out this is very exciting because she has a connection with a Portland company called Ground Up Butter. Are you familiar with them, Sarah?
I'm not. No.
Okay, so Ground Up Butter is this amazing small company in Portland, and they make nut butters.
Uh-huh.
And it's women owned, and they bring in women who have had challenges in their life, and they bring them in for these internships to help build confidence, to help them learn work skills, and to gain experience so that they can get jobs. And they make
Wow.
incredible nut butters. They're mostly cashew based, and I love buying from them. And you can buy them online, so you can get them anywhere. Whole Foods and New Seasons, our local stores, carries them, but they do collaborations with different people. And
Mm.
so they did a collaboration with Jessica and made a pistachio butter, which I absolutely loved. It's like one of my favorite ones they've done, and I buy them all. But anyway, I was like, oh, that's why her name looks familiar, because her name was on the label of the jar. So it's
That's
amazing salted pistachio butter. But anyway, so she somehow, got connected with them. And so
that's
shout out
awesome.
to Ground Up Butter and to Jessica for doing that. So anyway, so this book, what really drew me to it in the library was when I opened it up, I was like, there's tons of salad dressings, which I love, different types of dressings, and lots of salads. And like I said, really easy prep dinners.
Mhm.
Some of the things that I've made, just simple things, like I made some croutons and that were delicious. And she has a breakfast section too. So she has 4 different chia puddings. I kind of love chia puddings. One of them it's called pistachio pie chia pudding, which I
Mm.
made the other day, and it was delicious. She puts graham cracker crumbs in it. It's kind of fun stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then her salads were great, and they're super fun and easy. What else did I make here? So there's some recipes that I like right now in Portland. I feel like there's a lot of local stuff. I go to the farmer's market all the time. So I'm kind of focused on not local, seasonal
Mhm.
recipes. So many of these recipes are things you can make anytime throughout the year. So,
Mhm.
this is on my list: cilantro, lime, sheet pan, shrimp fajitas. So, you can keep shrimp in your freezer, and it's a sheet pan dinner. It's super easy.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Speaking
so I think,
I was gonna say, speaking of that, I did a cilantro lime grilled chicken bowl from this,
oh yeah. So
cookbook.
she marinates. She has so the cilantro lime dressing is one of her favorites.
Yes.
He
Mhm.
suggests, doing a lot of different things with it. So a couple of the recipes have it. That
Yeah.
one with
So
shrimp.
that was super tasty, and I was glad that I read the recipe ahead of time because one night I was all set to do it, and then I'm like, "Oh, it needs to marinate for, at
Yeah.
least 30 minutes. And if that was the case, I'm like, no, then dinner would be close to 8 o'clock. So I can't make that tonight. I have to make something different. But it was super tasty and it had, boneless chicken breast, tomatoes, jasmine rice, sweet corn, avocado, pickled red onions. I added feta. I used frozen corn because I didn't have any corn on the cob. So yeah, and it was
I love
very flavorful.
Yeah, it's good.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I made last night the chicken salad from here, which is also I just bought a rotisserie chicken, took all the meat off of it, and just it was super hot here in Portland yesterday, so it was a really nice, easy dinner that I threw together pretty quickly. She made it it's a great, nice dressing,
Mhm.
to mix it all in. So,
Oh,
yeah, so that was good. So, yeah, great book and, recommend it, especially for family people that, have families and wanna get food on the table pretty quickly. Uh,
mhm,
a
mhm.
nice variety of breakfasts, salads, dinner stuff, and, some desserts. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so the next cookbook is one that you suggested,
Mm.
because you're familiar with the author of it. So it is Big Bites, Time to Eat, Nourishing Family Recipes That Cook in an Hour or Less, a cookbook by Kat Ashmore. So tell folks who Kat Ashmore is and kind of the setup of this book, would you, Sheila?
Yeah, so Kat Ashmore is she's a chef, she's a recipe, designer, developer,
Mm.
and she also has a blog. She, worked for Martha Stewart for a while, and
Oh,
she went to the, Institute of Culinary Education in New York City. So she's, has a lot of experience, with recipes and cooking, so I found her first book called Big Bites at the library. And oftentimes at the library, I'm just perusing things and I bring them home and I get like one or two recipes. But her book, I brought home and I made like tons of stuff. So I ended up buying a copy.
mhm,
When I saw she had a new cookbook out, I suggested because I just was so excited.
mhm.
My book with a zillion post-it notes in it. I made tons and tons of recipes out of this book and
Yeah,
loved every one of them. And it's
fantastic.
kind of a one of these I like these books that sort of have breakfast, salads, dinner, and desserts, which,
Mhm.
this does,
She also breaks it up, one chapter is it's time for dinner weeknights, parenthetically weeknights, and it's time for dinner weekends.
mhm,
So and with the thinking being that traditionally folks have more time to cook on weekends. I realize that's not always the case, but so that the recipes that are in the weekend section take a little longer. So yeah, no.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And even then, it's not like they're not super complicated and they don't
Oh,
take
most definitely. They
too
are
long.
not, standing at the stove for 3 hours to get some, stew or, ragu or something like that. For instance, one of the ones that I made, we're gonna definitely talk about one recipe that we both made, but the weekend recipe that I made, I ended up it would be a weeknight standby for me. It's crustless spanakopita bake. And so it's very similar to a quiche, but it doesn't have a crust, but it
Uh-huh.
has flour in it. So then it definitely holds up. It's very sturdy, if one can say that about food. And and it had a lot of fresh dill in it, and it had chunks of feta in it, and oh my gosh, it was so tasty,
Yeah,
and my husband Jack just adored it. He was like, "Oh, this is a winner, make this again."
yeah.
Mhm.
I made a meatloaf, and I know you don't eat meatloaf, but I love that she used ground beef and lamb, and also had you put feta and roasted marinated peppers in it too. So
Mm,
you have this like Greek flavor thing going, sort of like what you had in the spanakopita,
mhm,
and it was delicious. Yeah, I
mm.
don't eat a lot of meat, but I liked that because I do like lamb, and it kind of made it more fun.
Oh,
Uh,
uh-huh,
that
uh-huh.
was delicious. Yeah.
Hmm. So let's talk for a second about the recipe that we both made because we had a little bit different experiences of it. It's in the "It's Time for Dinner" weeknights section, and it's chicken pepperoncini piccata. And I was
Mhm.
super excited about this because I adore pepperoncini.
Mhm.
Um, so I found that Jack said to make it again, and I wish it had more flavor. And I
Mhm.
felt that the quote unquote sauce was too thin. It wasn't substantial enough.
Yeah.
And your point, you looked at the recipe and were like, well, how much salt did you put in? I was so so yeah, so you definitely had a different experience with that recipe. Talk about that.
Yeah, so so you bread the chicken and then you fry it. So I think one of the reasons you do it in a saucepan, but one of the reasons that your sauce was too thin is I think it didn't specify so much as how much flour to put in it because the chicken is breaded, so whatever flour is on your chicken is supposed to
Mhm,
thicken it.
mhm,
So what I did was I added more flour
mhm,
um from the dry flour mixture,
mhm.
when I had the sauce going because I could see it was thin.
Okay,
So
oh,
she didn't
clever.
tell you to do that, but I kinda knew because you had said that, and I also she doesn't specify how much salt. So at the end, I tasted it because you salt the chicken when you first put it in the pan, but then there was no,
Mhm.
specifications about how much salt to put after, and of full disclaimer, we didn't say this, but my husband is a professional chef, so I have a little assistance at home.
Mhm.
I could always ask him when I have been doing this for years, like, "What do you think? Can you try this? What does it need?"
Mhm.
Uh, so we both kinda tasted it and agreed, like, we just need to add more salt, and knowing that you had said it didn't have flavor, I'm like, I think it
Yeah, yeah.
salt
That's
or
I love that we, so that salt again, it's not quite sauce, but the pans,
in sauce, yeah.
drippings, if you will, that it was too there was too much liquid. And so my thinking was, well, just take some of the liquid. I won't put in as much liquid. And you're like, oh, just put in some flour to thicken it up. And I think that's the more clever way because I also then it calls for chicken broth. And the note that I made to myself was to next time use some of the juice from the pepperoncini jar
Oh,
because I wanted more flavor. So I thought if
mm,
I used
yeah,
that, it would kind of punch up the
yeah,
pepperoncini quality about it.
very vinegary, yeah.
Mhm.
But she
Mhm.
makes there's another recipe, this is called proposal pork chops, but it's also a pan-seared chop with a similar kinda sauce.
Mhm.
And this was delicious, but she uses cream in this one, so it has like
Mm.
that creamy sauce thing going,
Mhm.
but it was the same thing, like you bread it and with flour and stuff, and then it thickens. Uh,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
had made this one after, it was really good. I know you don't eat pork either, but, this was a really tasty one because sometimes pork can be dry, but I love that it had this, like, really rich, creamy sauce that had it was chicken broth and cream and some sun-dried tomatoes,
Mhm.
that were clumped up with the sauce, and then you add spinach at the end, so it was quite tasty and, a nice one dish meal.
So, and Sheila, we would be remiss if we did not mention the 1 bowl, 1 banana chocolate chip cookies from this. So you
So good.
and
Oh,
again, we are both
good.
avid we love cooking, but we also, I would say, really love baking. And so you brought them to pickleball one morning, and people were just gobbling them up. And I don't typically eat cookies in the morning because I feel I don't have cravings for sugar in the morning. Like, don't get me started on when I'm watching TV in the evening. Then, like, I would have mowed through the entire thing of them. So I brought, I guess I only stupidly only brought one home. And so then ate it later. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are so good. So, so,
Yeah,
and I was, I, we just, we're just so oftentimes have so many extra overripe bananas. And so I was so pleased to find something new. And this only calls for one banana, so I guess I could double the recipe. And it also though calls for vegan butter. And I love you have a full-on love relationship with butter that I am right there with it. And so you sent out the recipe to the pickleball posse and the note that you had made was use real butter. And
yeah,
certainly people can use vegan butter, that's totally up to them, but I also really liked it because the butter was melted, so I don't have to remember to
to
put
take it
set the
out.
butter out an hour before I wanna bake or something.
Yeah.
So oh, and there
Well,
were
and I'll
s
also say about Kate's books is she has most of everything that has flour, it's gluten-free flour,
mm,
and she does indicate that you could use regular flour if you want, so I
I did.
typically will use regular flour
Mhm,
and occasionally the gluten-free if I'm baking for, people who have gluten intolerance, so it's nice to have that option, and again, with the butter, she says use regular butter if you want, but she likes to put in the option for vegans and,
mhm.
and those who maybe don't eat butter or eggs or whatever. So that's nice. And this recipe actually doesn't have any eggs either.
Mhm,
So some people have egg intolerances, not very common, but it is
mhm,
kind of cool in that regard. And I think the banana is what it creates sort of the substance that holds it all together, which is kind of
mhm. It is nice, yeah, to be able to have I mean, to have a really tasty, if you want, vegan, cookie, and it could be
cool. Yeah.
vegan and gluten-free, so you can serve all your friends. So, well, as
And I
long as
just
oh, I was gonna say, as long as we're talking about flowers, I say we move different types of flour. I say we move on to our 3rd
okay.
book, which is Morning Baking by Roxana Jullapat, and when we were choosing books, that was just a gimme for us, again, since we both love to bake, and the reason I say different types of flour, this book has it all for all different types of flour, and you are here for it. I am not. So you are going to be the one talking about this
Okay,
one.
yeah. So Morning Baker. So this book, I love it. I'm not a sophisticated baker. I don't do anything with yeast. I don't make my own sourdough because we have too many good bakeries here. But I do love to bake, and this has been really fun. So she really emphasizes buying from small millers that grind their own flours, and we fortunately in Portland have Camas Millery, and they sell their flours locally, like Tabor Bread sells them, and which is a local bakery, and they use it, but they also sell the flour. So you can also she gives you places to buy the flours online, so a lot
Mhm,
of different sources, which I know is hard to buy flour online, but at least looking for these different grains in your local market. Bob's Red Mill, also out of Portland, but they sell their stuff all over. So she does recommend them. So I think that's the first piece of it. You kind of want to embrace the different flours in this book. This one is all about breakfast things. So it's kind of fun because the first chapter is just muffins, which I love. And I brought some berry muffins. Sarah and I went away on a little
mhm.
pickleball weekend. And that was one of the things I brought were these
Oh, they were very
very
tasty.
berry muffins. And they were pretty yummy. And so the first chapter is all on muffins. And then I have a couple I haven't made yet because I haven't procured the particular flours, but like the berry muffins had oats and this Sonora flour, which is
Mm.
a sort of a soft white flour. Anyway, so that was kind of fun to use that.
And how
Uh,
do you think how do you so for somebody like me who just I hate to say it, but I looked at that and I was like, "Oh, I am not just gonna go buy a whole bunch of different flours because I don't know, maybe I'm not adventurous enough or maybe I'm too cheap. I don't know. So, but because I just sort of looked at that and I thought, well, what would happen if I made it with just regular flour?
mhm. Yeah, I you can.
Mhm,
Um, I think the baking with these flours, I have noticed like there is a different consistency and
mm,
level of crumb and outcome that happens. And it's not that you can't do it with regular flours, but certainly there's taste issues too when you start using rye or, some of the other flours that certainly have a different flavor
mhm,
profile to
mhm,
them. And the oats, I mean, a lot of them have oats, which are easy to get too. Um,
mhm,
so I think this is a book for someone who's adventurous and wants to try some
mhm,
new flowers and is willing to maybe spend a little bit more on flour or go out of their way to find some of these.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
but
And so
not to
that
say you can't substitute.
yeah. So then is your refrigerator do you have a shelf in your fridge or a drawer that's just full of all different types of
Oh
flour?
my gosh. Well, we have a garage fridge.
Mhm.
And it's funny because we stopped drinking beer and stuff, probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it used to be for all of that. Now it's filled with all kinds of flour and, bubbly water. But anyway, so I'm glad we have that. But yes, I do keep it in the refrigerator. It's important, I think, to keep the flowers in the fridge, especially in the summer when it's pretty warm.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it just prolongs the life of the flowers.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
The other
So
thing I made, I wanna just say in this first
mhm,
chapter were these or second chapter, scones, and I made these, it's called Rhubarry Roly Poly, and
Oh,
it's
you sent
basically
me
you
a
make your
picture.
own batter, and then I made, because I love going to the farmer's market, you make your own, I made my own, she includes a rhubarry jam, which is rhubarb and raspberries, super simple.
Mhm,
Um, and then you roll it out, you roll the dough out, and then you put the raspberry and then you roll it up, like
mhm,
a peel and cut it.
mhm.
That's what Sarah, I tried to give it to you, but you were left to go out of town, so I didn't get it to you in time.
I
So I'm
know,
sorry.
I was so bummed.
Oh, it was delicious.
I know I'd flown to Wichita to see John in the show,
But
and you were like, "Have you left yet?" I was like, "Yes."
I was in my
Oh,
car too. I had it all wrapped up for you.
ah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh. All right, so it's time for another short sponsor break. We'll talk about one more cookbook when we return. Okay, this one you are showing off because you're the only one who had it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it is Cooking Fast and Slow, Easy, Comforting, Mostly Plant-Based Recipes for Busy People, a Cookbook by Natalie Rudin.
There it is.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also, can I say it cracks me up that all of these things have blah, 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 a cookbook in their title.
Yeah.
And I notice that sometimes on the
It says it
fiction
though. It just
podcast,
says
it'll be
cooking
so and
fast
so
and
a
slow.
novel. But anyway, so
So
mhm.
Natalia Rudin is out of London.
Oh.
Um, and she was a personal chef for many years and then started a blog, and it became hugely popular with 1 million followers. And so she wrote this cookbook recently, and she is also like a certified health and nutrition coach, and she spent almost a year in India as a young adult. And I think while she was there, she became vegetarian and learned a lot about cooking. Her mom was a big cook. And so she wrote this book, and it's, the intent is easy, comforting, plant-based recipes for busy people. So it's pretty cool in that most of the recipes are beans based on, have some kind of beans in them. And she divides it up, which is kind of cool. Like the first section is like 30 minutes or less for dinner. And then
Mm,
there's like next section, 60 minutes or less for dinner. So it gives you some idea of, how long it's going to take you. The photographs are beautiful.
mm.
And they're
Do
pretty
do you
simple.
feel that the time, that she predicts it'll or says it'll take to cook, do you feel they're accurate?
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate, and I think she's definitely, these recipes are tried and true for her. I mean, I think she's done them a lot because of
Mhm,
her experience as a personal chef and doing it like in someone's kitchen or in her own
mhm.
kitchen. Yeah. So I do think that for the most part it's pretty accurate. And then she has a section on how to save time, and like one chapter is like meal prep, and really like how do you prep all this food ahead of time so that you can just dive in for the week and make your
Mm,
meals.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
pretty cool. The other thing she has is a whole section for breakfast fast and breakfast slow.
Mm,
There's all the dinner stuff, and then the back of the book is the breakfast fast and breakfast slow.
mhm,
Um, Again, a lot of, still beans in a lot of things, but oatmeal and granola and bowls like chia pudding and overnight oats and that kind of
mhm,
stuff. But
mhm,
like the savory black bean breakfast bowl, also very beautiful
mm,
and pretty simple, but she gives you like different options to do it. And she has some really good dressings and stuff for salads. Again, I really like that piece of it.
mhm.
One of the things, her desserts were really, really good. And one of the things I've made a couple times is this. See,
Oh my all the notes.
she doesn't use eggs. So most
Oh,
of her recipes are with flaxseed as a sub for eggs.
mhm,
So that's nice. Again, if there's folks out there that don't eat eggs or vegan, this is a good book. I used eggs in a lot of them as a sub instead. And this caramelized pecan chocolate and banana bread I've made a couple times is really fabulous. And then the other thing, again, because I love seasonal stuff, is I made this delicious rhubarb crumble with ginger and cardamom that I
mm,
just made yesterday for the second time. It was really, really good. I have
mm,
the recipes in here that I still want to try, the her desserts and stuff. And the dinner, again, the dinner stuff really nice. A lot of bowls, a lot of veggies, a lot of beans. But
Uh-huh.
really, really well done and beautiful photography. So
Mm.
lovely book.
All right. Okay, gosh. Now it's maybe late lunchtime here in Portland, so I'm starving.
Oh, yeah, one other thing, like, Roxana Jullapat has this really awesome recipe for chocolate cookies,
Uh-huh.
with rye flour and, kind of a fun recipe. I also have made it twice, but they're called midnight cookies because she describes, like, late night revelers in LA coming down the street while she's opening the bakery at 3 a.m., and she wants to cook them cookies like this, but I brought Sarah some, so we're gonna have some chocolate cookies after this. They're delicious.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, this was very fun, Sheila. Thank you. And everyone, thanks for listening. Please tell your book loving friends about this podcast and your food loving pals about this episode in particular. Again, we will be back with another cookbook episode in November. Miles of Books is a production of Another Mother Runner and Feisty Media. For more on Feisty and our other shows, events, workshops, and Feisty Fest happening this September in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, visit feisty.co. And folks, the E comes before that I, so it's feisty.co.